Hello, loves. It is time for some more reading. This is called The Razak's Revenge. A dull throbbing roused Eragon. Every time blood pulsed through his head, it brought a fresh. He cracked his eyes open and winced. Tears rushed to his eyes as he looked directly into a bright lantern. He blinked and looked away. When he tried to sit up, he realized that his hands were tied behind his back. He turned lethargically and saw Brom's arms. Eragon was relieved to see that they were bound together. Why was that? He struggled to figure it out until the thought suddenly came to him. They wouldn't tie. He swiveled his head further, then stopped as a pair of black boots entered his vision. Eragon looked up, right into the cowled face of a Razak. Fear jolted through him. He reached for the magic and started to voice a word that would kill the Razak, but then halted, puzzled. He could not remember the word. Frustrated, he tried again, only to feel it slip out of his grasp. Above him, the Razak laughed chillingly. The drug is working, yes? I think you will not be bothering us again. There was a rattle off to the left, and Eragon was appalled to see the second Razak fit a muzzle over Saphira's head. Those were pinion gains. There were shackles on her legs. Eragon tried to contact her, but felt nothing. To kill you, hissed the Razak. Squatting by the lantern, he rummaged through Eragon's bags, examining and discarding various items until he removed Zarok. What a pretty thing for one so insignificant. Maybe I will keep it. He leaned closer and sneered. Or maybe, if you behave, our master will let you polish it. His moist breath smelled like it. Then he turned the sword over in his hands and screeched as he saw the symbol on the scabbard. His companion rushed over. They stood over the sword, hissing and clicking. At last they faced Eragon. You will serve our master very well, yes. Eragon forced his thick tongue to form words. I will kill you. They chuckled coldly. Oh no, we are too valuable, but you are disposable. A deep smoke roiled from her nostrils. The Razak did not seem to care. Their attention was diverted when Brom groaned and rolled onto his side. One of the Razak grabbed his shirt and thrust him effortlessly into the air. It's wearing off. Give him more. Let's just kill him, said the shorter Razak. He has caused us much grief. The taller one ran his finger down his sword. A good plan, but remember, the king's instructions were to keep them alive. We can say he was killed when we captured them. And what of this one? The Razak asked. Pointing his sword at Eragon. If his companion laughed and drew a wicked dagger, he would not dare. There was a long silence, then agreed. They dragged Brom to the center of the camp and shoved him to his knees. Brom sagged to one side. Eragon watched with growing fear. I have to get free. He wrenched at the ropes, but they were too strong to break. None of that now, said the tall Razak, poking him with a sword. He nosed the air and sniffed. Something seemed to trouble him. The other Razak growled, yanked Brom's head back, and swept. At that very moment, a low buzz sounded, followed by the Razak's howl. An arrow protruded from his shoulder. The Razak nearest Eragon dropped to the ground, barely avoiding a second arrow. He scuttled to his wounded companion, and they glared into the darkness, hissing angrily. No move to stop Brom as he blearily staggered upright. Get down! Cried Eragon. Brom wavered, then tottered toward Eragon. As more arrows hissed into the camp from the unseen attackers, the Razak rolled behind some boulders. There was a lull, then arrows came from the opposite direction. Caught by surprise, the Razak fled. Their cloaks were pierced in several places, and a shattered arrow buried itself in one's arm. With a wild cry, the smaller Razak fled toward the road, kicking Eragon viciously in the side as he passed. His companion hesitated, then grabbed the dagger from the ground and raced after him. As he left the camp, he hurled the knife at Eragon. A strange light suddenly burned in Brom's eyes. He threw himself in front of Eragon with a snarl. The dagger struck him with a soft thump, and he landed heavily on his shoulder. His head lolled limply. No! Screamed Eragon, though he was doubled over in pain. He heard footsteps, then his eyes closed, and he knew no more. That's the end of that one. We're just going to continue on with the next one because that one was super short. This one's called Murtagh. For a long while, Eragon was aware only of the burning in his side. Each breath was painful. It felt as though he had been the one stabbed, not Brom. His sense of time was skewed. It was hard to tell if weeks had gone by or only a few minutes. When consciousness finally came to him, he opened his eyes and peered cautiously at a campfire several feet away. His hands were still tied together, but the drug must have think clearly again. Saphira, are you injured? No, but you and Brom are. She was crouched over Eragon, wings on either side. Saphira, you didn't make that fire, did you? And you couldn't have gotten out of those chains by yourself. No, I didn't think so. Eragon struggled to his knees and saw a young man sitting on the far side of the fire. The stranger, dressed in battered clothes, exuded a calm, assured air. In his hands was a bow. At his side, a hand-and-a-half sword. A white horn bound with silver fittings lay in his lap, and the hilt protruded from his boot. His serious face and fierce eyes were framed by locks of brown hair. He appeared to be a few years older than Eragon, and bracketed. The stranger watched Saphira warily. Who are you? Asked Eragon, taking a shallow breath. The man's hands tightened on his bow. Murtagh. His voice was low and controlled, but curiously emotional. Eragon pulled his hands underneath his legs so they were in front of him. He clenched his teeth as his side flared with pain. Why did you help us? You aren't the only enemies the Razak have. I was tracking them. You know who they are? Yes. Eragon concentrated on the ropes that bound his wrists and reached for the magic. He hesitated, aware of Murtagh. Decided it didn't matter. Gierda, he grunted. The ropes snapped off his wrists. He rubbed his hands to get the blood flowing. Murtagh sucked in his breath. Eragon braced himself and tried to stand, but his ribs seared with agony. He fell back, gasping between clenched teeth. Murtagh tried to come to his aid, but Saphira stopped him with a growl. I would have helped you earlier, but your dragon wouldn't let me near you. Her name's Saphira, said Eragon tightly. Now let him by. I can't do it. Besides, he saved our lives. Saphira folded her wings and backed away. Murtagh eyed her flatly as he stepped forward. He grasped Eragon's arm, gently pulling him to his feet. Eragon yelped and would have fallen without support. They went to the fire where Brom lay on his back. How is he? Asked Eragon. Bad, said Murtagh, lowering him to the ground. The knife went right between his ribs. You can look at him in a minute, but first we better see how much damage the Razak did to you. He helped Eragon remove his shirt and then whistled. Ouch. Ouch, agreed Eragon weakly. A blotchy bruise extended down his left side. The red swelling was broken in several places. Murtagh put it and pressed lightly. Eragon yelled and Saphira growled a warning. Murtagh glanced at Saphira as he grabbed a blanket. I think you have some broken ribs. It's hard to tell, but at least 2, maybe more. You're lucky you're not coughing up blood. He tore the blanket into strips and bound Eragon's chest. Eragon slipped his shirt back, then said yes. I'm lucky. He took a shallow breath, sidled over to Brom, and saw that Murtagh had cut open the side of his robe to bandage the wound. With trembling fingers, he undid the bandage. I wouldn't do that, warned Murtagh. He'll bleed to death without it. Eragon ignored him and pulled the cloth away from Brom's side. The wound was short and thin, belying its depth. Blood streamed out of it. The wound inflicted by the Razak was slow to heal. He peeled off his gloves while furiously searching his mind for the healing words Brom had taught him. Help me, Saphira, he implored. I need to do this alone. Saphira crouched next to him, fixing her eyes on Brom. I am here, Eragon. As her mind joined his, new strength infused his body. Eragon drew upon their combined power and focused it on the words. His hand trembled as he held it over the wound. Wise, kill, he said. His palm glowed and Brom slipped together as if it had never been broken. Murtagh watched the entire process. It was over quickly. As the light vanished, Eragon sat, feeling sick. We've never done that before, he said. Saphira nodded. Together we can cast spells that are beyond either of us. Murtagh examined Brom's side and asked, Is he completely healed? I can only mend what is on the surface. I don't know what's inside. It's up to him now. I've done all I can. Eragon closed his eyes for a moment, utterly weary. My head seems to be floating in clouds. You probably need to eat, said Murtagh. I'll make soup. While Murtagh fixed the meal, Eragon wondered who this stranger was. His sword and bow were finest make. He was accustomed to money, and lots of it. Why was he hunting the Razak? What have they done to make him an enemy? I wonder if he works for the Varden. Murtagh handed him a bowl of broth. Eragon spooned it down and asked, "How long has it been since the Razak fled?" "Few hours. We have to go before they return with reinforcements." "You might be able to travel," said Murtagh, then gestured at Brom. "But can't. You don't right away after being stabbed between the ribs. If we make a litter, can you carry Brom with your claws like you did with Garrow?" "Sierra." "Yes, but landing will be awkward. As long as it can be done." Eragon said to Murtagh, "Saphira can carry him, but we need a litter. Can you make one? I don't have the strength." "Wait here." Murtagh left the camp, sword drawn. Eragon hobbled to his bags and picked up his bow from where it had been thrown by the Razak. He strung it, found his quiver, then retrieved a rock which lay hidden in shadow. Last, he got a blanket for the litter. He laid them parallel on the ground, then lashed the blanket between the poles. After he carefully tied Brom to the makeshift litter, Saphira grasped the saplings and laboriously took flight. "I never thought I would see a sight like that," Murtagh said, an odd note in his voice. As Saphira disappeared into the dark sky, Eragon limped to Caddock and hoisted himself painfully into the saddle. "Thanks for helping us. You should leave now. Ride as far away from us as you can. You'll be in danger if the Empire finds you with us. We can't protect you, and I wouldn't see harm come to you on our account." "A pretty speech," said Murtagh. "Nearby that you can rest in safety?" "No," admitted Eragon. Murtagh's eyes glinted as he fingered the hilt of his sword. "In that case, I think I'll accompany you until you're out of danger. I've no better place to be. Besides, if I stay with you, I might get another shot at the Razak sooner than if I were on my own. Interesting things are bound to happen around a rider." Eragon wavered, unsure if he should accept help from a complete stranger. Yet he was unpleasantly aware that he was too weak to force the issue either way. If Murtagh "Join us if you wish," he shrugged. Murtagh nodded and mounted his grey warhorse. Eragon grabbed Snowfire's reins and rode away from the camp into the wilderness. An oxbow moon provided wan light, but he knew that he would only make it easier for the Razak to track them. Though Eragon wanted to question Murtagh further, he kept silent, conserving his energy for riding. Near dawn, Saphira said, "I must stop. My wings are tired, and discovered a good place to stay about 2 miles ahead of where you are." They found her sitting at the base of a broad sandstone formation that curved out of the ground like a great hill. Its sides were pocked with caves of varying sizes. Similar domes were scattered across the land. Saphira looked pleased with herself. "I found a cave that can't be seen from the ground. It's large enough for all of us, including the horse. Follow me." She turned and climbed up the sandstone, digging into the rock. The horses had difficulty, as their shod hoofs could not grip the sandstone. Eragon and Murtagh had to pull and shove the animals for almost an hour before they managed to reach the cave. The cavern was a good 100 feet long, more than 20 feet wide, yet had a small eyes. Darkness swallowed the far end, clinging to the walls like wool. "Impressive," said Murtagh. "I'll gather wood for a fire." Eragon hurried to Brom. Saphira had set him on a small rock ledge at the rear. Eragon clasped Brom's limp hand and anxiously watched his craggy face. After a few minutes, he sighed and went to the fire Murtagh had built. They ate quietly, then tried to give Brom water, but the old man would not drink their bottles. And that is the end of that one. Until the next time, I love you so much.